Okay, madam.
Okay. Yeah. A very good afternoon to you all. Today's session will be on positive psychology, that is the course MPCE 046. On behalf of RC Vijayawada, once again I welcome the resource person, Professor Vimala ma'am. Ma'am, good afternoon
Good
and welcome to the
afternoon.
course. As
Yes.
all of you have heard, ma'am was busy with another assignment there and she has rushed in between. She has left that assignment and has joined us only because we have already informed you that today the session will start at 3 p.m. So, ma'am will be taking the session not for 2 hours but a little less than 2 hours. So, ma'am, I
Yes.
request you to please start the session.
Oh, okay. Thank
And
you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hemalata.
okay,
Good day. So, good evening to all. And today we are going to take about the outlines of positive psychology. I can say that. I'll tell you what exactly positive psychology is, what is its background, how it was developed, and what are the basic concepts of positive psychology. This is very important. So till now, psychology was, we are taking all the psychological concepts from the Western countries. Like emotion, all the experimentation was done in Western countries, and we are using all their concepts because human beings, wherever there are human beings, the concepts are same, but the cultural factors have an impact on this. And as you might be knowing that in psychology, most of the experiments were conducted, almost all experiments were conducted to bring about changes in the behavior of people. Some behavior modification, as all of you know, that behavior modification is the goal of psychology. Many of the experiments were conducted to bring about changes and to overcome their weaknesses, So this is when you are having a stress. The research was conducted on stress, and the research proved some of the activities by which you can overcome stress. Like that, when you are having depression, when you are having emotional unrest, like that, the entire psychology was focused on changing the behavior, changing the behaviors which are not useful to the individual, which are obstructing the growth and behaviors of the mental peace of the individuals are being addressed. So this is only the like a clinical setup like that we studied mostly on behavior modification techniques, and we focused on weaknesses of this whatever is that. So then there is a this is all that what we are doing in psychology now. So in the scenario, so there is one psychologist, Seligman. Everybody knows his name, as he had done lot of research on learned helplessness. And what he said is, helplessness is a learned process. I cannot do this. I cannot bear this. I cannot face this challenge. All these are the helplessness. I can't do this. Is a assertion of my helplessness. So this is not internal or not because I cannot do that. This is a learned helplessness. We have learned it. Helplessness is a concept which is not original, not innate. It is learned concept. He did lot of research on learned helplessness, and also he did research on learned optimism. There are people who used to say, I cannot do this, I cannot face this challenge like that. That is learned helplessness. And nobody is out to support me. Nobody is out to support me. Nobody helps me. So this is a learned helpless. I don't have the abilities. So all the negative things about my traits, this is called as learned helplessness. This is not innate, but we have learned that. Similarly, learned optimism. Some people are optimistic and they used to say that that is also a learned concept. Yes, I can do that. Whether I had the abilities or not, I'm not less about that. My outlook is My future will be better, optimism. My future will be better, and I will do something to achieve that. This is also a learned process. Helplessness is a learned process according to Seligman, and also this optimism is also a learned process. So, for these two concepts were first initiated by Seligman, introduced by Seligman through his experiment, and in humanistic psychology, and everybody was known for these experiments. For these experiments, so he is a person. So based on these concepts, he emphasized on, so he started emphasizing on strengths, on happiness, on well-being, not the negative things. Until now, the psychology is working on repairing the qualities, repairing whatever is that. So it is in a repairing, because I cannot communicate well. I am trying to communicate better. Because I cannot make a good interpersonal relationship, I am making it. Whatever weakness I am having, I am addressing it to make it better. So this is the approach which we are following in psychology till now. Now, in 2000, Seligman is you can say him as the founder of positive psychology. So basically the positive psychology is not on repairing. Whatever strengths you are having, you identify your strengths and work on your strengths. Be better based on your strengths. Focus on your strengths and grow yourself. So this is the don't focus on your weaknesses. The strength-based approach. Strength-based approach. And strength-based approach means, hence, their focus is on happiness only and well-being. So happiness, well-being are the focus of this positive psychologist. For achieving happiness and well-being, you have to focus on your strengths. Emphasis on the Emphasis is on happiness and on our strengths. Through our strengths, identify your strengths, work on your strengths, so that you can achieve whatever you want, and you will be happy, and your well-being enhances. This is the basic concept of Seligman. So he's a professor of psychology in the University of Pennsylvania, USA, Pennsylvania, and he's a clinical psychologist. Clinical psychologist. So as clinical psychologist, he started his concepts on learned helplessness and optimism, and later on he became the founder of this positive psychology. The main concept of positive psychology is focus on our strengths, not on our weaknesses. You focus on our strengths, you will become a happiness, and you will achieve whatever you want. Your well-being enhances. Your well-being enhances if you focus on your strength. It is the basic. During the same time, not cannot say that during the same time, it was become popular. It has become popular from 2002. It started spreading in the society, and people started accepting this. It is more of is basically the concepts are humanistic psychology concepts only. They focused on this positive psychology. So uh, in 2011, Wong, he is a Canadian psychologist, and he started his after understanding the concepts of positive psychology. He said we cannot only focus on well-being only, and he has taken the importance of pain, suffering, and sorrow in human existence, and their relevance to deepening our happiness and well-being and meaningful life. So he said, without this pain, the pain, suffering, and sorrow, these three are important. Pain, suffering, and sorrow. These three are important. Without the relevance of these three, you cannot enjoy happiness and well-being. So he has taken the, and you cannot make a meaningful life. These three are important. We cannot directly have the we cannot directly have the happiness only. So these three are also important: pain, sorrow, and suffering. Because of three, these three will help us in relevance to deepening our happiness and meaningful life. This is the concept which was developed in 2011. 2011, later on by T. Wong, the uh, a Canadian psychologist who is also interested in positive psychology. This is a second approach of addressing positive psychology. So, the first approach, Seligman's approach, is directly focusing on strengths. The one's approach is focusing strengths only, but they have taken the importance of sorrow, pain, and suffering. Without these three relevance, you cannot have. So, which these three enhances our, deepens our happiness and well-being. So, this was given. So, these are the two approaches which were developed by different psychologists in positive psychology. So the second approach is, that is pain, sorrow, and suffering, the happiness and well-being with reference to this is Indian approach. Practically, it is a Indian version of happiness. Without sorrow and pain, you cannot enjoy the well-being. So this is the Indian version of uh, psychology, and whereas Seligman's positive psychology approach is building positive emotions, building strengths, building virtues, and that individual may become, and the individual may become happy and his well-being increases, and at the same time community and his commitment and community well-being also increases. If you focus on strengths, virtues and strengths and positive emotions. So these are the two approaches which were developed. Indian approach is about it is relevant to the Wong's approach, like taking importance of our taking importance of our pain and suffering. Then coming to the what is well-being? You have to, well-being, it is a state of the individual. The It is a stable and not an excited state or not in a depressed state. Well-being is a stable state of a in the system in which essential qualities are relatively stable. All our essential qualities are relatively stable. This is called as well-being. So after developing this positive psychology, the concept of happiness was given a much importance. So till now in 2000, because of the technological development, economic policies, globalization, because of all this, people are very much people are struggling to adapt to these new concepts, new technologies, and all these things. In this scenario, happiness is being identified because of, I can say, Seligman. Happiness is being identified by the entire world as an important concept which is required for human well-being. So the world itself started finding an index of happiness, like like we are having an index of what is that, GDP, gross product index. We are also having a index, happiness index, gross GNHI, gross national happiness index. Every year they used to measure, taking some of the uh, criteria for happiness, and uh, they used to evaluate the countries on this happiness index. So, and I think last year and before last year, I remember, if I remember it correctly, India achieved in 138 place, 138 rank among the 146 countries who are being evaluated on this gross happiness index, national happiness index, our country took the 138th rank among 146 countries who are evaluated on this happiness. Why? What are the domains they have taken for measuring this happiness index? Let me say national happiness index. The for calculating this national happiness index, they have taken some of the psychological aspects. Number one, psychological well-being of the individuals, psychological well-being, their health conditions, nation's health conditions, education, how the time is being used and how the time is wasted, time use, utility of the time by the people, and cultural diversity and resilience. You know, cultural diversity and resilience in our country, in most of the countries, our country is having, there is a lot of cultural diversity. Many cultures are there living together. Cultural diversity and resilience. Resilience means uh, cultural diversity, accepting the other cultures. We are having diverse cultures and we are accepting. This is cultural diversity is taken as a one of the criteria for assessing gross health national happiness index. NAS happiness index. Cultural diversity and resilience of people. Resilience means India is having the Indian people are having highest resilience because of our spiritual background or whatever. Resilience means come back to normalcy after a fall. But that means whenever you failed or some of the upsets in your life, you will come back to normalcy as quickly, bouncing back to normalcy after a failure, after a crisis, or after that. So this is called as resilience. Cultural diversity, resilience were also taken as happiness indexes, and good governance. If you are having a good governance, people will be happy. People are happy, we are having a good governance. And community vitality. Community is vital, means very active and doing so many things. Community vitality is a index of doing so many things, is an index of happiness. And ecological diversity, ecological ecological diversity and resilience, and living standards of the people. And these are the 9 domains they have taken to assess. So based on these 9 domains, they assessed the national gross national happiness index, and different countries participated for the in this assessment. And some of the Canadian countries and European countries, they got the highest ranks, rank one, like that. So why this is happening is health, education, because ours is a big country. The health condition, health, education, time use, cultural diversity, all these played a major role getting a lower degree, and now lower index, lower rank. Now the people are trying to improve that, improve the community itself is trying to improve the conditions of the people so that to get higher happiness index. Happiness index. Here, in this connection, I want to say every year the United Nations also is observing March 20th as International Happiness Day. International Happiness Day. The main objective of this International Happiness Day is to aware the people. We are busy with our works, with our household works, job work, personal commitments, all these activities. We have last, we have forgotten about the concept of happiness, about the concept of happiness. Hence, aware the people, there is also one concept, happiness. You should be happy. Of course, our goal is happiness. The goal of everybody is happiness, but the process they are not enjoying. Even after getting the goal, there's striving for other goals. They are not enjoying. Happiness is important. It is responsible for our physical, mental, and psychological health. So, if you want to be psychologically happy, you should be happy. Happiness increases our biological potential, psychological potential, and also our social relationships. Hence, you should be happy. Happiness is a very, very important concept. That's why March 20th, what we do is we will aware the people. At least you should be happy. You should be consciously happy in every day. Consciously happy. You should be. Uh, you should be consciously happy. You should be consciously happy. That means every day you should feel at least a few minutes or half an hour or some time to make yourself happy, which promotes and enhances your physical health too. Not always in a pressure or stressful condition. Instead of, you should feel yourself happy. This is the you should that way to aware the people regarding the importance of happiness. What are the activities which give you pleasure? Which gives you pleasure uh, should be done by every individual. At least if music is provides me happiness, I have to do it. At least you have to steal time do it for my health and for my psychological well-being, and also for my growth also. This happiness helps. So, with this concept, every year, March 20th, we are awareing the people regarding the happiness, consciously being happy. You should be consciously allot some time being happy. You should be like that so that our physical health enhances. Don't be morose all the day. All the time. So, you have to you have to focus on this happiness. So this is one of the areas. This is the important things about happiness, and this psychology is focused on happiness. We are using this happiness, celebrating this happiness day. Coming to the positive psychology, which is focusing on happiness and well-being. These are the two concepts. Happiness and well-being are the basic concepts of positive psychology. So, positive psychology, there are in many areas, positive psychology is related to other psychological aspect. Why positive psychology? Define this positive psychology. If you define, psychology is study of behavior. Positive psychology means studying about the positive psychological states. That means our strengths. That means our psychological states means in positive emotions, positive strengths, virtues. All these are the positive aspects of our behavior, not the negative aspects. Aggression, all these are the negative aspects of behavior. Virtues, strength, happiness are the positive side, and sadness, depression, what I can say that criminal behaviors, all these are the negative side of the negative aspects of behavior. So we have to how this positive psychology is related to many other disciplines of psychology. Positive psychology is related to health psychology. In health psychology, what do you do? Health psychology studies about the behaviors which are responsible for behavior for our health. What are the positive behaviors which helps you to enhance your physical health? So that's why positive psychology studies about positive aspects of behavior, whereas health psychology also studies about the aspects of behavior which enhances our physical health, which enhances our physical health. So we are keeping our health, we are healthy through our behaviors, through our emotional states, and through our behaviors, we are keeping what are the behaviors which keep us healthy through our eating habits, sleeping habits, and all this makes us, these are the behavioral aspects, positive behavioral aspects. Among them, the positive behavioral aspects are the, hence, positive psychology is related to health psychology. Positive psychology is also related to clinical psychology and clinical psychology. Clinical psychology, the treatment for clinical clinicians is using positive tips. Using clinical psychology, we assess the people and we will do counseling. So what do? We will make the individual bring about positive states. We are doing counseling. Hence, whereas in this aspects also we are taking the contributions of positive psychology like mindfulness, flow behaviors, what I can say, that positive emotions, meaningful life, virtues, strengths, all these are being taken into consideration for the correction of individual clinical behavior. Hence, positive psychology is related to clinical psychology. Positive psychology is also related to developmental psychology. Just like developmental psychology says about the development of emotions, development of behaviors, how the behavior develops and how the abilities develop. The positive psychology also studies about the development of positive emotions, development of strengths, development of virtues. All these, how do they develop? So, in what age, what are the things you have to develop? Hence, it is related to developmental psychology. Coming to the personality development also, in personality, we study the development of personality theories. We study all the areas of all the traits we are having, whereas the positive psychology focuses mainly on the positive traits of the individual and tries to enrich them. Personality studies all the traits of the individual, positive and negative both, whereas positive psychology is focused on the positive strengths and positive traits of the individual, like positive emotions, love, compassion, kindness, virtues, all these strengths only it is related. Social psychology. In social psychology, what do you study? We study individual behavior in a social setting and how the society influences individual behavior. Both it studies so, society's impact and culture's impact on individual development, as well as how an individual behaves in a particular society. So all this social psychology we study about leadership, love, social aspects of behavior, social aspects of behavior. Whereas positive psychology studies about the positive aspects which are required. Kindness, compassion is a social behavior. Empathy is a social behavior. All these, the positive aspects of traits, positive behaviors are being studied by social psychology. Similarly, it is also being related to religion psychology also. The positive psychology is so basically, the positive psychology, applied positive psychology is focused mainly instead of repairing rather than building strengths. We don't focus on repairing session, we focus on building strength. This is the basic thing of psychology, positive psychology, and its relationship with other subjects. Coming to the what are the research methods we use in positive psychology? So just like whatever is the subject, we use different. Cognitive psychology research methods are different. General psychology research methods are different. Social psychology, we use some other research. Similarly, in positive psychology, also we use observation. Observation is the basic method of any research. So we use observation methods. So observation, you might be knowing about observation method. You studied in all the subjects. What is observation method? You will do controlled observation, naturalistic observation by using, so you use different techniques, natural situations sometimes we'll observe. We will create a simulation situation and then also we will observe. So that observational techniques we use in positive psychology, and also case studies, and also focused group studies we will do in psychology. So these are the basic methods we use: case study method, observation method, and group study method we use. And also now and then a few experimentation methods are also being used. Coming to the types of research you do in positive psychology, this is a descriptive descriptive research we will do. That means we will describe all the aspects of a uh, particular institution or particular organization or particular thing, the entire describing the activities of the particular situation. And we do exploratory research. Audio. Also, we explore what are the things which are exploratory research. We explore what is causing happiness. We explore how we have to build our strengths, how I have to build my virtues. This is all called exploratory research. So the particular person is very happy. What are the causative factors? So, like this, these are the exploratory research we will do. We will do predictive research also. So, if the person, predictive research is also important. If the person is having these virtues, suppose a person is having self-discipline or truthfulness, honesty, these are the virtues he is having. The person having these virtues will perform well in a work organization. So this is a predictive. Research found that these are the activities which are required. These are the things which are required for a better performance. We found these things, and the individual's performance in the workplace is better, then you can say your measurement of all this uh, predicted the behavior of individuals. Like that, we will do predictive research also. Sometimes we will find out the correlations, relationship between two positive aspects of behavior. And also sometimes the fundamental research to find out the concepts of positive psychology. What are the different basic research also we will do. So we will do all types of research: basic research, descriptive research, correlational research, exploratory research, predictive research, whatever research, all the research methods we use, which are using in general psychology, in positive psychology too. So mostly, what are the things we use in for research in positive psychology? What are the different areas of positive psychology research? Is positive experiences. Positive experiences. What are the positive experiences? Means positive experiences means subjective well-being. I am feeling subjective well-being means there is no generalized. I am happy with this. This is subjective well-being. Subjective well-being means an individual himself, subject, an individual himself's well-being. We can measure the well-being of subject. Subjective well-being, affective states. What is the affective means? Emotional states of the individual. Emotional states also we can find out in the finding the emotional states of the individual. That's another research area. And then individual contentment, how satisfied I am. Contentment, individual contentment is also another area for positive psychology research. What are the factors which are responsible for the contentment of individual? I'm happy with whatever I am having. There are people who are not happy even with not having anything also they may be contented. There are people with having so many materialistic things, they are not happy. So this is a subjective feeling of happiness, not the material. This is a psychological feeling. So you can do research on this also. Contentment, happiness, all these are the positive aspects. Subjective well-being is a positive aspect. Affective states, contentment, happiness, hope, flourishing, positive individual personality traits. What are the positive individual personality traits? Like character strengths, virtues, character strength and virtues are there. So you can do research on them. And these are also some of the research area. Positive institutions, interpersonal dynamics of positive people, how positive people have interpersonal dynamics, and these are some of the basic areas of research. These are the basic areas of research which you can come across. Then coming to the there is a lot of difference between Indian concept of human behavior and Western concept of human behavior. So there is Western. There is a difference between Eastern perspectives and Western perspectives. The happiness, what we are talking, and subjective well-being determines about based on our cultural factors. Cultural factors. Culture plays a major role, hence, you have to understand the difference between Western perspective of happiness and Indian perspective of happiness. Western perspective and Indian perspective. So, in positive psychology, mostly what it says is the good life. Good life means the happy life, good life, well-being, and flourishing. Flourishing. All these are shaped by our culture. So culture plays a major role in developing these positive things like good life, well-being, and flourishing. These are being shaped by our culture. So we have, let us think we are all in India. Let us have a basic understanding of what is the perspective of Indian psychology, Indian psychologists, what is the Indian perspective, Indian psychologist perspective of good life, well-being, happiness, and flourishing. For that, you should have a basic understanding of Indian culture and what are the aspects we say about happiness. We don't say happiness. There is a lot of research is going on happiness, and people. This I think so one of the international studies are being conducted. Number of hundreds of seminars are being conducted to understand what is happiness. What is happiness? Because many of the people with so much of possessions, they are not happy, whereas there are people with nothing, they are happy. So what creates happiness? If you know the reasons for the happiness, we can make the people happy. Happiness is the goal of life for everybody. If you think about that, happiness is everybody's goal. We want the goal to be happy, we want the process to be happy. So why you are doing that? For future happiness. I am doing all this for future happiness. Why you are studying this course? For future happiness, for understanding this psychological aspects, and I can use it in future. In future, this may give me a happiness. Everybody is having problems. I too am having problems. A resilience is being given in psychology. I have to come back. What are the aspects? This may help you. So this is your future happiness. You are doing all this. We will eat something for the present happiness. So whatever activity we are doing is whether to have a present happiness or a future happiness. Present happiness or a future happiness. We have to do. Now we should have an understanding of what is pleasure in Indian context. What is happiness, pleasure in Indian context. So let us have some of the perspectives of happiness in Indian context. What are the perspectives? So first of all, you have to understand what is pleasure. We have to understand what is pleasure first. So what is the Indian perspective of pleasure? Coming to Indian perspective, there are many types of pleasures as far as Indian perspective. Number one, this is sensuous pleasure. So, through sensory gratification, I have seen a very good picture, very good person, very good scenery. This gives me sensuous pleasure. sensuous pleasure. By watching this, by looking at this, by through my senses, I listen to beautiful music, it gives me pleasure. So through my senses, whatever I tasted a very good food, it gives me pleasure. So this is called as sensuous pleasure. For eyes, ears, taste, for touch and everything. This is smell, beautiful smell. So I am fragrance, I am enjoying the fragrance. It gives me pleasurable experience. So this is sensuous pleasure, what we call in Indian perspective. I am talking it. Second type of pleasure is retrospective pleasure. Means I am pleasurable by recollecting some of the previous pleasures. I am pleasurable now. I am experiencing pleasure by recollecting some of my previous pleasures. So, previous achievements I am recollecting and I am happy now. This is called as a retrospective pleasure. We have retrospective pleasure. Then this is a prospective pleasure. Means I am going to become like that. That aspects gives me a lot of pleasure. I am going to become so and so an important person, a person who is recognized by many. That is called as a future pleasure, prospective pleasure, retrospective pleasure, prospective pleasure, and sensuous pleasure. I told you three. Fourth one is gratification pleasure. So gratification pleasure means desires, by gratifying our desires. I want to have something, desire, I desired something and I got that. That's why I am pleasurable. So these are the concept of pleasure and pain. Indian perspective of concept of pleasure is these are the four ways we will get pleasure as per Indian perspective, because all your clients or yourself are from India. You are from India and your culture plays a main. So what sometimes I am not happy because I am not able to go and visit those places and see. I am missing the sensuous pleasure. That's why I am not happy. Sometimes I am so here retrospective pleasure, prospective pleasure, and gratification desires. All these four types of pleasures you will have. In similarly, you have pain also. As per Indian perspective, pain is also not one. Adhyatmika, Adhyatmika pleasure. Pain. Now we are talking about pain, not pleasure. Pain is Adhyatmika means it is physical pain or mental pain. Sometimes something hit me, it is a physical pain. If something I am sad about, this is a mental pain. So, physical pain and mental pain are sometimes I will get mental pain if my desires are not fulfilled. Like that. Adhyatmika means physical and mental pain. Coming to the Adibhautika means pain caused by external factors, not by desires, not by physics. Pain caused by external factors is called as Adi Bhautika. Adi Bhautika, pain caused by external factors. Then Adi Daivika means pain caused by divine energy. Nobody is responsible. Nobody is responsible. This is the pain caused by divine energy. So these are the three types of pains you will come across. Three types of pleasures, four types of pleasures you will enjoy as per Indian perspective. Indian perspective. So the positive psychology, when it shares with the Indian psychology the goal of elevating human condition to the optimum levels of functioning to overcome suffering and promote form of happiness. So this is the goal of Indian perspective. Indian perspective is you have to elevating human condition. How do you elevate your human condition? By optimum levels of functioning, fully functioning person. By optimum levels of function. We are having so many potentialities. We are not using them. use all your potentialities. Optimum use of your potentialities gives you optimum levels of functioning. If you are functioning optimal level, you can overcome suffering and promote forms of happiness and bliss. Happiness and bliss. These are the concepts of Indian psychology. Happiness and unhappiness are jewels. That means happiness, unhappy. These are the two ends of a column. Whereas bliss is neither happiness nor unhappiness. It is in a peaceful state. It is the bliss is the state of condition where you are neither positively charged or with emotions or negatively charged with a negative emotion. It is a blissful condition, means a stable mental state where you don't have neither pain, you don't experience neither pain nor pleasure. So these are the Indian psychology, Indian psychological perspective. Indian psychological goal is that reaching the blissful condition. Positive psychology is also focusing, like Indian perspective, it is also focusing on optimal functioning of the individual. Optimal functioning, optimum level of functioning of the individual. If you function fully, if you are a fully functioning person, you don't feel either suffering and it promotes happiness. If you are functioning fully, so it overcomes, that is what you say, Jnanavantudu, who is a fully functioning person. So when you go above the state, that means it says elevating human condition through jnana, through education, whatever is that, through education and knowledge you can elevate. Through education and knowledge you can elevate your human condition. By studying the psychology course, definitely you are elevating yourself. You elevate yourself. Whatever, leave alone the marks, degree, and everything, you are elevating yourself and you are ready to face any challenge of life and also help others to come to accept the challenges, come out, overcome the challenges. You yourselves are elevating and helping others also to elevate from their suffering and challenges and go towards happiness. That is the goal of this subject. So you should enhance yourself first. Then you should help others also to enhance. So whatever the illogical, all these thinkings, and use your full optimal potential. And then you can overcome suffering. And you can, if you overcome suffering, you can help others also to overcome suffering. Okay, this is the idea of Indian perspective of psychology. Coming to the Indian perspective, what are the other key concepts which are given in Indian concept of personality? Indian psychology are the multiple layered existence of human, multiple layers of human existence. Here, there are kosas used to say in Indian psychology. We used to say our psyche has different levels of existence. Our psyche has different levels of existence. You have to elevate yourself from one step to other step and finally to the lowermost cell is called lowermost kosa. They called it as kosas. First is Annamaya kosha, and the second is pranamaya kosha, respiration, and third is manomaya kosha, and fourth is vijnana kosha, and fifth is ananda kosha. You will take this ananda kosha, blissful state, through passing through all the stages. So this is Indian perspective. So just like you remember Maslow also, because we know the Western psychological concept first and going back to Indian concept. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, it is related to mind, and vijnanamaya kosha, knowledge. If you are elevated by knowledge, you will be anandamaya kosha. Knowledge is the only state which elevates you to happiness. Which elevates you to happiness. So these are the Indian psychology. We are going to learn some of the Indian psychological concepts in positive psychology. So this is happiness. Happiness is also in the positive psychology, even Indian perspective, we are telling it as Anandamaya Kosa is the happiness state. Coming to the other concept of Indian psychology is Sthita Prajna. So this is a state of wisdom, a state of wisdom. This is a desirable state of wisdom. Is to it is a blissful state. Sita Prajna is the best blissful thing. We don't have the concept of happiness. Indian concept, we say Sita Prajna. If you are having happiness, another unhappiness also follows. We don't have happiness and unhappiness, you will be in the blissful state. Reaching the blissful state, Sthita Prajna, is the goal of Indian psychology. Is the goal of Indian psychology. How do you reach that? You have to do certain activities as per Indian perspective. So, the what are the activities you have to do is you have to do some activities pursuit of dharma for human flourishing. If you want to flourish yourself, you want to flourish yourself, you have to follow dharma. Dharma implies what is dharma are the virtues and duties. Virtues and duties for universal well-being. Vasudeka Kutumbam, universal well-being. You have to follow certain virtues. Our Indian perspective is not narrow, it is a wider and extended. Hence, they say that following dharma means following virtues. What and your duties. You have to do your duty, and these are the dharmas. So, this is for universal well-being and universal happiness. And coming to the uh, prosperity of the world, sir, that is the goal of what is that Indian perspective is prosperity of the world, not of the individual or not of the institution or not of the nation. The prosperity of the world is the goal for that. How do you prosper? How do world prospers? If it liberated from the suffering and pursuing for moksha. Liberated from suffering and pursuing towards moksha. So these are the Indian perspectives, Indian concepts of psychology, Indian concepts. So in positive psychology also, these are the things. Flow behavior. Flow behavior means experience of flow means a state of intense involvement. Suppose you are making a drawing, creative art, because you are interested in painting or drawing or whatever activity you are interested, you involve yourself totally and you do that. That is that involvement, intense involvement is called as flow behavior. This flow behavior is responsible for our happiness. You don't feel, you feel very happy, flow behavior. So that's why in positive psychology, when you are having any stressful condition, do flow behavior is being taken as one of the remedies for your suffering. To start doing that, whatever you are having, you involve in that activity and involving totally either in the music, dance, all the fine arts, where you can totally involve yourself and you can bring about it. So and these are the some of the practices of Indian perspective. So why I am telling about Indian perspective is in positive psychology the goal is happiness. In Indian perspective also, the goal of happiness is being taken by using different techniques. So in there are so many religious techniques also we use to enhance our well-being. So I told you what is the goal of positive psychology is happiness and well-being. So what are the things you will do in positive psychology? What are the things you will do? These are the religious practices we will do to enhance our well-being. So spirituality is very important for enhancing our well-being also. So there are Patanjali Yogasanas. Second thing, development of virtues and gunas. These are the three things which are being given: religious practices and spiritual practices. Religious for enhancing well-being. Spiritual practices are not pertaining to particular religion. They are humanness, and what Vivekananda says, spirituality means nothing but humanness and efficiency. Efficiency in the activity and the work. Both are called as spirituality. In spirituality, you enhance your efficiency and you should also follow humanness. Behave like a human. So for that, yoga asanas are given. You know, yoga, Patanjali yoga asanas. Asanas is one yoga, and he has given Ashtanga Marga. You might be knowing Ashtanga Marga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the 8 steps they have given. So, not only doing yogasanas only, yoga asana is part of Patanjali yoga thing. Yogasana alone is not sufficient. You have to use some other practices also for achieving well-being. Other thing is you have to postures. Asanas are postures. You have to do breathing exercises, pranayama. You have to use the concentration technique, dharana, and you have to do dhyana, meditation. So it also enhances blissful condition and also observing us and blissful condition. All these concentration techniques and also some of the niyamas. You have to follow certain of the niyamas like cleanliness, uh, swadhyayana, self-study, contentment. All these are some of the niyamas. Not only doing yogas and yoga technique alone, yoga, some physical, some principles of life, and also pranayama and following concentration techniques. All together he made it into 8 stages, and this is called as Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga. So this creates human well-being. As per Indian perspective, these are the things which gives you Indian perspective. Then this gives you well-being. What are the second aspect which was given for well-being is development of virtues. What are the virtues? These are the some of the traits. If you develop those traits, you will overcome suffering. Whatever comes in this world, you can overcome. Number one is fearlessness. If you are fearless, nothing will make you to suffer. Then purity of heart, steadiness in yoga, and charity, control of senses, sacrifice, study of scriptures, straightforwardness, harmlessness, truth, managing your anger, peacefulness, and compassion. These are some of the virtues called. So the Indian perspective has given some of the development of these virtues. If you are having values and if you are having certain straightforwardness or charity, kindness, helping nature, wisdom, all this makes you happy. All this make you happy. This is development of virtues. And also you have to develop gunas also. Gunas also. So these gunas are swabhavas. Gunas are sattva, rajasa, tamo guna. Tamo guna. Sattva guna is these are the three gunas. Sattva, Sattva guna means discriminative, intellect, self control, self knowledge, virtuous, generous, gentle, detached, and duty bounded. This is Sattva guna. All virtues together we call it as sattva guna. Rajoguna means driven by actions and driven by passion. Because I like it, I will do this. This is sattva guna. Guna means the swabhavas. So some people, because I like it, I want to get it. Sattva guna people, they are intellect, but they are gentle, they are detached, and they are duty bounded. They are duty bounded. Whereas Rajoguna people they are driven by actions. Whereas Tamasaguna are depressed, lethargic, negligent. We will find some of the people like this with all this indisciplined, arrogant, hostile, ignorant, uncertain, and dull. These are the things which Tamasaguna people used to have. So in Ayurveda, they are conducting studies on these gunas and their personality trait, a relationship between guna and personality trait and the medication. They are doing it a longitudinal study on this. So Swabhava means gunas. So all these are the virtues. Everybody is having sattva, rajo, tama. All the three gunas will be there for everybody. But we have to try to reduce this tamasa and rajogunas and go towards sattvagunas. More of sattvaguna will definitely help us for our well-being. Now I will tell you what I have given all this time. So it feels what I have given you is all Indian philosophy. No, it is Indian perspective of positive psychology. There is also Western perspective of positive psychology. There is a difference between Eastern perspective and Western perspective. Western perspective, they are individualistic. They want to grow an individual. They help for the development of the individual. Where our culture, Eastern culture, is a collective culture. They want to grow together. Growing together is the concept of Eastern cultures like India. Western cultures, they want to go alone. So there is a difference in the basic concept itself. We have given more importance to the group and social welfare and virtues of all the people, well-being of all the people, not on individuals. So in this context, we studied till now. I will just summarize, otherwise you will get why all this we have to learn about Indian psychology, gunas, Bhagavad Gita, and all that. The thing is, what is the goal of positive psychology is pleasure and well-being, happiness and well-being. These are the two goals. For reaching happiness and well-being, you should focus on our virtues and strengths. This is the perspective of positive psychology. Now we are talking about the perspectives of, because culture plays a major role in developing the well-being or the happiness. This is being shaped in a culture. The well-being, the happiness, the concept of happiness and well-being and flourishing life.
Madam,
All these are shaped in a, yes, all these are shaped in a culture. So we are living in Eastern culture. What are the things, especially Indian culture? We are finding out what is
madam,
happiness, what is well-being. Yes, yes, yes. I am concluding this. Yes, what is well-being? What is happiness? And these are the important things of positive psychology. As per Indian perspective, what are these? So, what is pleasure as per Indian perspective? We studied about four types of pleasure, sensuous pleasure and all the things. Pleasure is the concept of positive psychology. So, what is that as per as Indian perspective? There are four types of pleasures: sensuous pleasure, retrospective, prospective, this gratification of desires. Coming to the what is pain as per Indian perspective. So, overcoming pain and suffering as a base, the well-being and happiness are being derived by positive psychologists to two. Hence, we are talking about what is pain and what is pleasure as per Indian psychology. Then we are talking about what is what is happiness? What is happiness and well-being? Happiness and well-being as per Indian perspective. One is there are steps. Anamaya Kosha, we reach all the koshas and we reach the last stage, Anandamaya Kosha. So step by step we reach that through our actions, through our stages of development. And also the other happiness we tell, Sita Prajna is the blissful. We don't have a concept of happiness. We have only the concept of blissfulness. Our Sita Prajna state is the concept, not happiness. Sita Prajna state. And how do you reach that Sthita Prajna state? By pursuing what are the strengths as positive psychology has given. The virtues and strengths are given here. Virtues, dharma is the as a virtue. Following all our duties, karmas. So these two are being given as virtues, and our goal is reaching world's prosperity, not individual. Western countries is individual, but ours is having world for that liberation. So these are the methods which we use to enhance our happiness as per Indian culture. There are number of practices which are given in Indian perspective for happiness. Don't say that psychology is the behavior which is closely related to dependent on our culture. It depends on our culture. So as per cultural aspect, what are the spiritual practices? Spirituality, I told you, spiritual practices. It is not religion, it is spiritual practices which enhances our state of mind, which enhances our well-being. The spiritual activities which enhances our well-being. We studied about yoga, we studied about development of virtues, and we studied about gunas. Three things. These are the three things which enhances our well-being as per Indian perspective. We should not remove Indian perspective. This is also being given. The only difference between positive psychology virtues and the Indian psychology perspective, spiritual perspective is where there is experimentation, where in Indian perspective there is only intuition, no experimentation. Only intuition is there, no experimentation. So because there is no experimentation, we are not believing that, but this is the thing which you have to understand. Unless, so you have to understand three things for well-being. Yoga, what is that? Patanjali yoga, Ashtanga yoga marga. One. Second thing is development of virtues like charity, compassion. All these are socially related. Kindness, compassion, helping, and straightforwardness, harmlessness. All these are the truth. All these are the virtues. You have to learn the virtues, and you have to develop the three swabhavas will be there for well-being. If you are more of sattvika swabhava, your well-being will be more. So the challenge is sustainable happiness. The goal of positive psychology is sustainable happiness, which implies and contribute to individual, community, and global well-being without exploiting others. We should not exploit others for our well-being. We should not exploit the environment for our well-being. We should not, we have to protect the environment for future generations too. So, for this sustainable happiness, the Indian perspective is being given in this chapter. So I think I conclude you with five sentences. What I had till I told you till now. What are the different two approaches of positive psychology? One is Seligman. Second one is on Warnes, uh, Canadian psychologist. What is happiness index? Why happiness is important? Why happiness is important? Then what are the uh, ideas of your positive psychology and what is its relation with other sciences? What are the research methods the positive psychology uses? And what is the relationship? And what is the, I can say that relationship between positive psychology concepts and the Indian perspective of life. The Western perspective is focusing more on Indian perspective of life. So these are the things we studied, and what are the spiritual practices you have to do to enhance your well-being. Spiritual practices, not religious. These are the spiritual practices which you have to do to enhance our. The words may be different. They may be differ from religion to religion, but spirituality is one thing. How we have to enhance it. So, with this, we will conclude. We are talking about only the positive psychological aspects today, and tomorrow I will give you what are the components of positive psychology, because this you will have so many doubts. Positive, why you are talking about Indian perspective, Indian psychology in relation to positive psychology? Because well-being and happiness are given there, these are also being contributed by Indian psychologists. Now, the Indian psychology is a flourishing area where it is there, whatever Western psychologists are telling is there in Indian psychology, and we are trying to bring out there so that you can have relate it more easily and we can follow it more easily. So, if you have any doubts, can you can interact? Or, so So don't get upsetted. I have taken all the Indian perspectives. Indian perspectives are also being taken high priority in positive psychology, because our goal is also happiness and well-being. Whereas, uh, yes,
Yes, please unmute.
yes. Anybody any
Any
doubt?
doubts? If you have any doubts, please ask, ma'am. Okay then, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes. Mm, yeah. So if you don't have any doubts,
Yeah, no one is coming forward, ma'am.
so they are putting messages.
Only
Okay.
one student, I think,
Mm,
Prashant,
yeah.
has responded in the chat box. Okay then, ma'am. We'll wind up for today.
Yes, tomorrow we will have at 3 and we'll complete the remaining part of this.
Yeah. See, yes, Suma Tulasi has raised her hand.
Nothing, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Vimla, ma'am. As usual, it
Yes,
was so
yes.
very clear, ma'am, and thank you so much for your support.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Vimla
Okay.
ma'am, shall we wind up
Yes,
then?
yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Ah, okay.